So here's my, first of all, in the Democratic primary, because I'm a registered Democrat in New York, I will be voting for Marianne Williamson. Very happy and proud to say that. I'm the chief Marianne Williamson bro out there. I'm leading the charge. Now, in New York, I'm in a safe state. So would I vote for Cornel West in New York? Yes, because I have a 95% agreement with him on policy. And I think it would be nice to get the Green Party in a position where if they become more viable because we get ranked choice voting or something, it'd be nice to grow their popularity a little bit. And when we get ranked choice voting, I think they kind of automatically become a lot more viable. So I'd like to help out in that process. But if I'm in a swing state and it's Biden versus Trump, I'm at the point now where I don't even think it's a tough call. I would definitely vote for Biden because either in that situation, even if other people are running, either the Democrat or the Republican is going to win. And in my estimation, Biden has definitely passed what I would describe as my bare minimum purity test. And I think if it's him or Trump, or even him or DeSantis or anybody, he just blows them out of the water. And so I think I'd happily vote for Biden in that instant.
So does the Florida party then effectively canceling the Democratic primary also constitute voter suppression?
I can't speak to that.
Why not?
You have to speak to the campaign or the DNC.
Does the White House have any thoughts on
I can't.
those voters being?
I can't speak to that.
Is it because of the Hatch Act or?
You're talking about 2024 election. You're talking about a primary. I'm just not going to speak to that from here.
Okay.
All right, guys. So we got to talk about another leftist getting a reality check when it comes to the Democrat Party and their talking points on democracy, aka their dictatorship, okay? And the leftist that we got to talk about here is Kyle Kulinski, okay? The host of Secular Talk. He's a progressive who has gotten a lot of heat from his progressive friends because he's come out here and said, hey, I'm going to support Biden, right? I'm going to support Biden over Trump because Biden is much better than Trump. Now, I don't sure exactly in what world can anybody with two brain cells to rub together say, oh, well, I'm going to vote for Biden because Biden is better than Trump, right? Again, I'm not sure exactly who can say that with a straight face at this point in this country, but hey, you still have some people living in a delusional world here, okay? And Kyle Kulinski, along with Cenk Uygur, who is his colleague, Cenk oftentimes comes out here and talks about how Trump is such a big threat to democracy and how that's the difference between Democrats and Republicans, okay? Trump is a threat to democracy, right? But yet, Cenk, who is not eligible to be president, by the way, and he's running for president regardless of the fact that he's not eligible to be president, he's saying the hard way that Democrats actually really don't believe in democracy because they're essentially canceling their primaries, okay? They're canceling their primaries because they don't want anybody challenging Biden as the Democrat nominee. Now, this is being swept under the rug by the mainstream liberal media. The mainstream liberal media is not talking about it. I don't think that the right-wing media is talking about it enough. I feel like I'm the only person in the right-leaning media that is actually really talking about this. And this is something I think we should clearly be talking about, is the fact that Democrats are openly overthrowing democracy in states like North Carolina, Tennessee, and Florida. Now, what I want to react to here is this naive leftist, Kyle Kulinski, who's out here carrying Joe Biden's water, right? He is going to get a reality check on the fact that Democrats, again, don't really believe in democracy because they are canceling the primaries. And I want to react to it because it's hilarious to watch leftists melt down over something that they complain about the other party doing, except, like I said, the Republican Party, they're a lot more democratic than the Democrats, right? At least with the Republican primary, it is rigged to a certain extent, okay? But they only can rig it but so much, right? That's why Trump is actually able to win, because if they could have it their way, they would actually try to rig it against Trump. They tried to in 2016. Didn't work, right? In the Democrat primary, though, you don't really get a choice, okay? It really is the illusion of democracy, okay? You don't have a chance if you're not the establishment pick. So without further ado, let's react to this because, again, it's hilarious to watch leftists melt down over things that Democrats are doing, okay? So without further ado, let's get into it.
You have Trump, who's now not only the favorite to win the primary, but also the favorite to win the general election, while at the same time having 91 criminal charges and being found liable of fraud and maybe might get kicked off the ballot. Everything is just chaos, right? Well, we're adding another element to that here. So this is from WRAL from North Carolina. Biden won't face any competition in North Carolina's 2024 Democratic primary, state election officials confirm. Now, that's one way to write the headline. Another way to write the headline is Democrats end democracy in North Carolina. Democrats go full authoritarian in North Carolina.
It's so funny to me, bro. It's so funny to hear a leftist say this, okay? Because at the end of the day, right, these people kick, scream, and cry about the Republican Party being authoritarian, right, or Trump being authoritarian. When, again, the Republicans aren't doing this, okay? They aren't going this far when it comes to their authoritarianism, right? And, again, the conversation in mainstream media is all about how Republicans and Trump are trying to overthrow democracy when literally that is what Democrats are doing in their own primary. And the mainstream media won't talk about it, right? They won't address it at all, okay? It's fascinating stuff what has happened. It is a complete blackout in the mainstream liberal media in regards to what is happening in the Democrat primary, why they come out here and warn about how Trump is such a big threat to their so-called democracy. Again, it tells you how disingenuous these people are, right? And what democracy actually really means, right? To them, it actually really means dictatorship. That's actually really what it means, okay? And the mainstream liberal media is complicit and they're on board with this, okay? 100%. Because if they were actually fair and balanced, if they weren't massive hypocrites, the biggest story in the country right now in regards to the threat to democracy would be the fact that Democrats literally are not allowing anybody to run against Joe Biden in a number of states across the country, okay? That would be the biggest story in the country if the mainstream media actually cared about democracy as much as they claim. They spent all this time boohoo whining about January 6th when Democrats are straight up doing something worse than what happened on January 6th, okay? I'm so serious, right? They're doing something much worse than that. And there's crickets and silence.
Yeah, we don't want to have an election. We're just going to not have it. What? Weren't you guys sucking yourselves off in the last election? Like, we're the ones who believe in democracy. And Donald Trump is against it. Yeah. Anyway, ban the Democratic race here. Thank you. Appreciate it. The state's top election officials confirmed the North Carolina Democratic Party's request to have President Joe Biden alone on the ballot in the primary election, rejecting potential Democratic challengers Dean Phillips, Marianne Williamson, and Cenk Uygur. Now, hold. There's a debate to be had, and even Cenk would acknowledge this, around Cenk. Because there is
no debate. Cenk is not eligible to be president, okay? And, with that being said, does that mean that he can't be on the Democrat primary ballots? The primaries aren't actually real elections, okay? They're just simply nomination processes. So technically, the Democrats can nominate whoever they want, okay? But with that being said, there is no debate around Cenk. Cenk is not eligible to be president of the United States. Him running is just a grift. That's what it is. And that's also a threat to the Constitution, right? He's literally attacking the Constitution, right? That's what Cenk is doing.
Legal gray area. Is he allowed to run as a naturalized citizen? He's not a natural born U.S. citizen. He's a naturalized citizen. Some people interpret the Constitution that naturalized citizens can't run. Others say, no, they have equal rights now, so they are allowed to run. I will grant you that there is a debate around Cenk's ability to run.
There is no debate. Cenk is just delusional, right? Just like the rest of you leftists.
And again, I think he would even acknowledge that. There is no debate around Marianne Williamson or Dean Phillips. There is no debate around that. But they said, nope, no primary. We've decided no primary. Guys, just so you understand, don't be naive. This is what pulling the strings behind the scenes looks like. This is what happens when the White House makes a phone call to the Democratic Party of North Carolina. It says, hey, you know all those things you want from us? You know these funds and that funds and X, Y, and Z? Well, maybe you'll get them. Maybe you'll get even more than that if you do this for us. Maybe you get none of it if you don't. This is what that stuff looks like. This wasn't just like, we are going to make an ideological and principled decision to not have a Democratic race. No, this was shadow politics behind the scenes, cigar-filled back rooms, making phone calls. That's what this is. All right. So
I want you to understand, this guy is going as far as to say that Biden himself, right? The Biden White House is behind this, right? This is not just an independent decision of the North Carolina Democrat Party. This is his theory, by the way. This is what he's saying. That Biden himself, the guy that he's supporting, right? Because he's so much better than Trump, right? According to Kulinski. This is the decision of Biden's White House, okay? And the national level Democrat Party saying, in these states, we are going to cancel primaries. We're not going to hold elections. This is what he's saying.
Let me read you some of this. President Joe Biden will be the only Democratic candidate for president in North Carolina's 2024 primary elections. The state's top election officials confirmed that decision Tuesday in a 5-0 vote, shooting down potential Democratic challengers Dean Phillips, Marianne Williamson, and Cenk Uygur. By the way, I love that we're going to give ourselves the vote to block your vote. What? Nobody asked you. Nobody asked you to have a veto power overriding what's supposed to be a Democratic election. Jesus Christ. Tuesday's vote by North Carolina State Board of Elections echoed its initial decision made in December based on the North Carolina Democratic Party's request to have Biden alone on the ballot. At the time, North Carolina Democratic Party spokesman Tommy Maddox told WRAL that Biden has been the only candidate seriously campaigning in North Carolina. Excuse you? Biden's not campaigning anywhere. There's no... Biden hasn't even released an agenda for 2024. Never mind.
The agenda is to attack Trump, right? To scream and cry about January 6th and to talk about abortion, right? That is the Democrats' agenda in 2024. I'm telling you, I know what the Democrat platform is going to be. Orange man bad, January 6th, abortion, right? That's the only thing you're going to hear about from Democrats for the next, 6 to 8 months, right? That's the only thing you're going to hear from them, okay? Because they have nothing else. Everything else across the board, crime, foreign policy, the border, inflation, the economy, whatever, right? They're terrible, okay? They're like, Biden's getting destroyed in the polls across the board, right? Doesn't matter what the issue is. So they don't have an agenda because, quite frankly, nothing that they say, nothing that they're doing is working. People don't agree with their agenda. So therefore, they're just going to sit around and talk about Trump, January 6th, and abortion, while at the same time screaming about the so-called threat to democracy as they overthrow democracy. And this is why the mainstream liberal media won't talk about it. This is why they won't touch this topic with a 10-foot pole, right? The reason why they're not touching it is because if they actually covered this topic accurately, that takes away any type of talking points, okay, that Democrats can use in 2024. That literally eliminates the whole, well, Trump is a threat to democracy talking point, okay, because clearly, Democrats don't believe in democracy either, right? Which means that the only thing they would have to run on would be abortion, right? The only thing they can come out here and talk about would be abortion. This is why the mainstream liberal media is not talking about it. They're never going to talk about it. Because if they talk about it, it literally takes away the number one and the only talking point that they have, which, and really, they don't have that talking point because anybody that's actually paying attention can see that Democrats don't believe in democracy. I mean, this is something that, even leftists like Kulinski knew back in 2016 when the primary allegedly was rigged in favor of Hillary Clinton. And then once again, in 2020, the primary being rigged in favor of Joe Biden. So again, these people know, all these people that are coming out here and peddling this idea that Trump is a threat to democracy know damn well that the OG election deniers are the Democrat Party, that the primary riggers are the Democrat Party, but yet they still carry water for the Democrat Party, and this is why the Democrat Party doesn't change.
Mind held rallies? What are you talking about? In order to get on the ballot, you need to have donors in the state and be actively campaigning in the state, he told WRAL last month, adding that the rule is the standard that we have used in all previous cycles. Who are we kidding here? First of all, the reason why you wouldn't go campaign in North Carolina is because at the moment, people, of course, are focused first and foremost on the primary in New Hampshire, and the Republicans are, at least in Iowa. But by the way, I don't even know if this is true. You'd have to ask Marianne Williamson, hey, have you gone to North Carolina? Maybe she has. She probably has, right? So it should... What, do you have like a minimum hour requirement that they need to be in North Carolina for them to be official in your eyes? Like, what are we doing here? You're going to put quotas on how much time they have to spend in the states in order to just get on the ballot? What are you talking about? Jesus. Phillips, a Minnesota congressman, Williamson, a self-help author, and Uygur, a progressive podcaster, are all running for the Democratic Party nomination against Biden, but the state Democratic Party declined to recommend any of their names for the primary election ballot, and none of them formally petitioned to be added to the ballot, a process in North Carolina that requires getting 10,000 signatures to show support.
Yeah. So with that being said, right, what you can see here is that you have a leftist who, hey, he's going to vote for Marianne Williamson in his state, apparently, okay? But in other states like North Carolina, for example, Florida, Tennessee, these states where Democrats are essentially not holding primaries, the progressives in those states aren't going to get a chance to vote for who they want to vote for because Democrats aren't going to give them the chance to. Right? But these same people will come out here and continue to carry water for the Democrat Party, try to pretend that, oh, Trump is the real threat to democracy, right? Republicans are the threat to democracy, January 6th, okay? While Democrats do something that's even worse than January 6th. Again, this is why they spend so much time on January 6th, okay? On, oh, Trump's a threat to, because it's projection. They're projecting. The most violent people in this country when it comes to politics are far leftists, right? The people that go out of their way to try to overthrow democracy the most are Democrats. And this is why they scream so loud about it, because they're projecting what they do onto other people, right? That's exactly what's happening. So again, it's just funny to me to watch leftists melt down over Democrats. Again, basically just, telling them that, hey, you don't get a choice, right? You don't get to participate in our democracy, while at the same time, talking about how the other party is a threat to democracy, so you shouldn't vote for them. And that's why these leftists look so stupid, right? Especially people like Cenk Uygur, who is running a Democrat primary, that comes out and talk about how much of a threat Trump is to democracy, while at the same time experiencing firsthand how much Democrats don't really believe in democracy. It's pretty hilarious stuff, right? It really is. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.